our main topic today, of course, is AI adoption, but not as general AI adoption, but AI adoption in FMCG companies. Because you worked at a couple of these companies like Mars or ST, what makes AI adoption in FMCG different from other sectors like finance or telecom or logistics?
FMCG industry has its own specifics. And I would say the first one, it might sound a bit surprising given that we are talking about big corporation. But in my view, how I see it, that FMCG companies, they really have like less data compared to companies who work with first-party data, obviously. Because companies who work with first-party data, like in banking, telecom sector, they have these full, huge data sets explaining all the transactions, all the social demographic, characteristics of their customers and so on and so forth. While FMCG companies, most often they work with so-called syndicated data, for example, Nielsen data, which is really aggregated. So we can only track sales by channels, for example, and we do not have a very granular view on how products are sold within each particular store, for example, or who bought this or that product. Of course, we are talking about offline sales. There are online sales, there are D2C channels which actually provide this visibility and help FMCG companies also to accumulate first-party data. But overall, I would say that the amounts of data and the granularity of data is much less compared to companies who work with first-party data. And of course, this raises the question to AI adoption, because of course you can build a lot of sophisticated models if you have granular data. But if you only work with aggregated data, you have certain limitations. So this is the first aspect, I think. The second aspect would probably be related to the fact that we are talking about offline sales. And of course, it takes more time to experiment and to validate certain hypotheses. For example, imagine that you build a digital product and you want to see whether it is efficient or not, whether it attracts more customers, whether it generates more sales. If you have this visibility and real-time data coming from your customers, it is much faster and much easier to track the results of your initiatives. While in FMCG, you have to ensure offline execution of this or that initiative, then you need to get the data, usually with quite a long lag. For example, Nielsen data typically comes with a lag of like a couple of weeks. So yeah, this kind of slows down a bit, this full cycle for the work with hypothesis testing using the data. So I would say that these are the major factors, and probably I can also think about another one when we are talking about qualitative data, and the data which is really hard to quantify and to put in a table. For example, consumer research. Say you get some insights from consumers, and this is really valuable information that you want to use for decision making, but how to quantify it? Well, it's a very difficult question.